What's going on YouTube? My name is Zach with Android Digest, and today I'm reviewing a smartwatch, and that is the Mobvoi Ticwatch E3. Now this smartwatch comes in at $200, and the goal of this smartwatch, I know, just seeing the marketing and things like that, the goals seem to be to give you a smartwatch that gives you a good bang for your buck, right? Because not everyone has $400 to spend on a smartwatch. So there's a lot of great features on this watch, and there are some compromises. So I'm going to let you know what I think about this watch and how it stacks up to future smartwatches coming out and the competition that's out there today. So with all that being said, let's get straight into this review and let's get it started. Alright, so the Mobvoi Ticwatch E3, this is a unique smartwatch, and if we look at the specs of this watch, you're going to see this watch packs a lot for the price. This watch has GPS, it has NFC, it has IP68 water resistance, which means that you could bring this in the shower, you could bring this in any fresh water, at least underwater, for like 1 meter for 30 minutes. So this watch is really going to do a great job under difficult circumstances. This watch has a great processor. It is the Snapdragon 4100, and only one other smartwatch has that right now. That is the Ticwatch 3 Pro. Other smartwatches are on much older processors, at least on the Android side. This also has 1 GB of RAM and 8 GB of storage, and this has a 1.3 inch screen. This is not an AMOLED screen, it is an LCD screen with a 360 by 360 resolution, and this watch has a 380 milliamp battery. So when you consider all the features that this has a lot of fitness tracking features as well. This smartwatch also has, again, a GPS, NFC, water resistance. When you see all those things for $200, that is amazing. So just keep in mind what type of smartwatch this is and what type of audience they're targeting. They're trying to have some minor compromises to get the price down, but they're trying to get you a great smartwatch with a lot of features, and overall, I think they've done that. Now again, there are some compromises, right? For $200, you're going to see some things like plastic, for example. So this isn't made of aluminum on the back. You do see plastic right here on the body, and that does make the body a little bit lighter than you would expect, but this watch is also fairly bulky. I'm just guessing that's to fit in a nice battery and things like that, but you do see a nice bulky frame on the watch. Now you do see speakers on this watch as well. That's another great feature that this watch has, and you see right here, this is the charger right here. So you have a magnetic charger, it just magnetizes right on it. It's very similar to that Ticwatch 3 Pro charger, and the watch bands are also replaceable. Now they do have two other colors from Mobvoi directly. You can get a blue color, which I do have right here, and they do also have yellow as well. So just keep in mind you can replace these, or you could buy your own bands on Amazon for like $10. There's all types of great leather bands and other things. So you just need to get the specific size. It's a 20mm watch band. So I do like the design overall, and I don't mind those minor compromises they made, because I think people like me, we don't want to spend $400 on a smartwatch, and I don't mind dealing with a little plastic. I don't really notice it at all, as long as I enjoy the watch itself. And you're going to see this watch is very enjoyable, especially when you get to something like the display. So this display, I know it's not AMOLED. This is an LCD display, but it is very, very nice. If I compare it to other smartwatches, I thought this display, well, it's a little bit worse than the Fossil Gen 5, but it is better than the Fossil Gen 4, which I remember the Fossil Sport just didn't have a great display. This display does look vibrant to me. I do think it looks very good. I didn't really even notice much of a difference between this and AMOLED displays. So again, the display has minor compromises, but it looks really good, and I do think it gets bright enough. I keep it at around 50% brightness, and I have no issues with the display at all. But you do need to know that there is no auto brightness, and that may be a deal breaker for some of you. But for me, I just keep it around 50%, and I have no issues at all. Now this watch, it really shines when it comes to performance, and a lot of us are used to older Wear OS smartwatches that really were just awful, and they couldn't keep up with basic tasks, right? Like Google Assistant, for example. Google Assistant would often freeze on other watches. It couldn't hear you because the processor just could not keep up. and the RAM was also awful on a lot of those older smartwatches. Well, this smartwatch is blazing fast, and when I say blazing fast, I mean I've really had no issues with lag. Of course, when you set it up, it's just slightly slower because you're doing 10 things at once, but right after the setup, I've got to say I had no issues. I don't have issues with it lagging during anything, and Google Assistant has been 100% reliable, and I love that because I would use Google Assistant for just about everything. This has a speaker which responds to you, and how can you complain, right? When I was using this for fitness things, and I didn't really use it for much, honestly. I'm not much of a fitness guru, but it didn't lag during that. It didn't freeze during that. It doesn't lag during Google Assistant. If I pop up my apps and go to my messages and things like that, again, no issues with any form of performance. This smartwatch is going to get updated to the new Wear OS. It's coming out soon. The Wear OS that Samsung and Google have partnered together to build. So that is amazing news. Now, you will have to wait for it. So again, when we're talking about some compromises, sure, this is made of plastic. Okay, sure, this is not AMOLED, but you have a $200 smartwatch that is blazing fast. And I don't really need a new Wear OS when this Wear OS actually works amazingly. A lot of the issues that people have had with Wear OS, they were almost always performance-based, that the Wear OS smartwatch experience wasn't great, and a lot of people thought it was software. No, it was purely hardware, and this hardware flies through Wear OS with absolutely no issues. So I don't mind waiting, right? We do have to wait a little bit. I believe it's next year in 2021 at some point that this watch will get updated to the new operating system, and Mobvoi has officially confirmed this, as well as Google. So that's amazing news. And when we think about the watch landscape right now, I want to talk about that for a minute because there are all these smartwatches out there that are going to go on sale like crazy. I'm sure the Fossil Gen 5, the newest Moto 360 watches, they're all going to go on sale. But remember, none of those watches are going to get updated. Those watches are going to end their support a lot sooner than this smartwatch here. So I think this smartwatch, and we're going to go through some more things as well, like the battery and other things, but it blows all these other smartwatches out of the water from the past. The only other smartwatch that really competes right now is that Ticwatch 3 Pro and the newer smartwatches coming out, which we're going to have to talk about. Now, another improvement we're going to see in this smartwatch compared to other watches is that battery life. Sometimes I got 4 days of battery life on it. 4 days. Now, I'm a user who doesn't like to do a lot. I don't really fitness track much, and I'm sure if you looked at my belly or something and I really stuck it out, you'd see I don't do a lot of fitness tracking, okay? I just use it for steps and things like that. So when Mobvoi asked me, whenever I went to the settings and things like that, and it asked me what I wanted to track, if I only put the basics like steps and heart rate and pretty much that's it, when I looked at that and I didn't do sleep tracking or anything like that, I was getting 4 days of battery life. Now that was with always on display off, but this battery is incredible. Now, if you do some other things, right? Let's say I decide to switch it up. I turn the always on display on. Well, that dropped my battery to about 1.5 to 2 days. Now you might be wondering what happened when I turned on sleep tracking and when I turned on all these extra features. And once again, that also dropped my battery down as well. And I was getting around 1 to 2 days, which is still pretty good. It's still better than something like the Apple Watch, or it's right in the same camp, I should say, as the Apple Watch. So when I'm getting blazing performance, I'm getting a Wear OS smartwatch that's great, and I'm getting pretty good battery life. And you can even extend this even longer. There is an essential mode that basically just lets this function as a regular watch, and it'll last for a very long time on that mode, of course, because no smart features are happening. So when I factor all that in, I've got to say the battery is really good overall. Now there are rumors about the Samsung smartwatch that's coming out soon that it's going to have 7 days of battery life. I'm sure that's with some power saving mode on or something like that. But if it was true, let's say it was fully performing, I doubt that. But again, this can get up to 4 days if you just watch what's actually on and how you use it and don't have the always on display on. So it's actually pretty close to those newer smartwatches coming out, at least in some ways. But again, it really depends on what features you turn on, how much you use your watch. So the battery life is all over the place, really. It could be 1 day, it could be 4 days, and it just depends on what you're doing. But overall, I give it a solid B+ for that. I give it like a B+ for the design, and I give it a B+ for performance as well, because I am expecting some performance gains to come from newer watches. And finally, I do want to talk about the extra features that this watch has, and a lot of those features honestly surprised me. So of course, this watch does have water resistance and it is IP68 certified. I personally don't trust it enough to go absolutely crazy with my own watch. Now for this video, of course, I did for your sake so you could see that everything seems nice and certified and good, but I'm telling you, it's not a good idea typically to just throw your watch around in water 24/7 because again, the manufacturer, not just Mobvoi, okay, any company out there, they do not cover water damage if your watch gets water damage. All the reviews that I've seen and even in my own experience dunking this down in water, this works great. And that means that if you're taking a shower, if you're out in the rain, you don't have to worry about anything like that. Even if you jumped in the pool or something, you should be absolutely fine. And on top of that, this actually has a cool little feature that if you get water in your speaker or something like that, it could actually help dry it out for you and get it out of there, which is pretty awesome. It's like a cool software feature that this watch has. So I love the water resistance because again, at this price point, I don't see water resistance, and even at better price points, you don't often see this good of water resistance on a smartwatch. So I'm really impressed with that. And other features like fitness tracking features, again, they work very, very well. I was a little bit skeptical at first because Mobvoi, they have all of their own watch apps on here, all of their own fitness apps. They're actually the first apps you see on the smartwatch. They have Tick Health, and that goes over your overall health. They have Tick Exercise, which is what you use if you want to exercise and you want to record that exercise. Tick Pulse, of course, goes over your heart rate. Tick Sleep goes over sleep tracking. And keep in mind, at least at this time, Google Fit does not even have their own sleep tracking app. So they wanted, and I reached out to Mobvoi to ask them about why they decided to put all their own apps on here. And they did mention to me, hey, we did that because Google Fit doesn't even have sleep tracking, for example. So they actually wanted to make a pulse of their own apps. Even Tick Oxygen can let you know your blood oxygen level. You have Tick Zen, which helps you to relax, and Tick Breathe, it's sort of a similar thing. So there are all types of fitness apps on here. And if I'm honest, they all worked amazingly. So this watch can auto detect when you're sleeping so that if you are sleeping, you don't have to go start sleep tracking every time. So I remember in the past, I had the Sleep As Android app, and I would always go in and open it and start sleep tracking. Well, this watch just starts sleep tracking for you, which is really great, at least if you do start it up and sign up for that, of course. So that's an amazing thing. You also look at Tick Exercise, and in my usage with it, which honestly wasn't a whole lot because I was not about to exercise more than I need to, but hey, Tick Exercise did work very well, and as far as step tracking, things like that, this watch did a great job. So there's a lot of cool things on here, and you could really measure how your health is overall by just using these fitness tools, and you can even share these with a friend as well. All in all, when I look at the fitness apps on here, I really give it a solid 9 out of 10. It is absolutely better than I expected, I've got to be honest. And it's something that I think if you do buy this watch, I really think you're going to prefer the fitness tracking apps from Mobvoi over Google apps or other apps that are out there because Mobvoi actually does a really, really good job. Now, I can't say how it's going to compare to the new Samsung watch with the Fitbit integration. That might be pretty cool if they have Fitbit going full steam. But I've got to say, I was super impressed with all the fitness tracking that's on there. So again, this can measure your heart rate, blood oxygen level. It has GPS to track you around while you're running if you wanted to do that. So when you think about all of these features, water resistance, what are you missing? If we look at the total summary of this smartwatch, you might ask yourself, what am I missing with this watch? Well, here's a couple minor cons for you, okay? For one, there is no rotating crown on here. That's one thing that I didn't really like. I wish there was a third button in the middle that would be able to be a cool rotating crown. I do miss that from the Fossil Gen 5. Again, this watch is made of plastic on the body, and this screen looks great, but it is not AMOLED, so it is one step down as far as the display. And honestly, outside of that, outside of the watch being a little bit bulkier, I can't really think of a lot of cons. The only other cons are that, hey, this isn't going to get Wear OS in like a month from now. So you might be wondering, how does this watch stack up again against the future competition, the watches that are coming out soon? Well, you do need to remember, the Fossil Gen 6 that's coming out, it is not going to release with Wear OS 3.0, and it's going to have to wait for that update just like this watch. So the only real competition that you have to think about is, well, the new Samsung watches, of course. And the new Samsung watches, I expect them to retail around $300. As far as the Fossil Gen 6, I expect them to start at $300, and they always have over the past few years. So when I think about this watch, it starts at $200. So is it worth buying at $200? I would say wholeheartedly yes. Now, if you absolutely need that Wear OS update as soon as possible, of course you shouldn't do that, right? Of course you should get the Samsung watch or something like that. But this watch will get that new Wear OS update, and hopefully it'll get it in the next 6 months or so. We don't know exactly for sure if it's going to be January or a little bit later next year. We don't know 100%, right? But we know it's getting it. So this smartwatch, it has great battery life. It's a great performing watch. It looks good. I really do like it. Now, again, I don't love the bezel here, but I'm telling you, I did not notice this bezel when I was looking at the design, even talking about it. I didn't even think to mention it because when you're actually using the watch practically, I don't even think you really notice the bezel. At least that's just me. So this smartwatch is blazing fast, has a great battery, it has a good display, it has all these features like water resistance and all the features you would really need. And I do expect, as you see new smartwatches coming out, I'm sure this watch will go on sale over time. So eventually you might be comparing a $300 new smartwatch to this at like $150, right? This retails at $200 now, and even at $200 now, I think this is a great price because I'm telling you, if you're a normal person with a normal income that's not like super rich or something, spending $400 on a smartwatch, spending $350 on a smartwatch, that is a lot of money for a watch that just sits on your wrist and gives you an occasional notification. Now, yes, it has fitness tracking and all that, but look, you can get all those features in this $200 watch. So you have to think about price to performance ratio. I'm not saying that because Mobvoi paid me to do so. Yes, they did send me this review unit. They didn't tell me what to say. They didn't say I had to say good stuff. I could rip them to shreds, and trust me, I've done that in previous videos to other companies and other products. But I've got to say, there's no reason to rip this product to shreds. And honestly, some of you want to wait. Some of you want to spend a little bit more to get that new Wear OS, and I completely understand that. But I think a lot of you, honestly, should just get the Ticwatch E3. So I give Mobvoi a lot of props for this watch. If you have any questions, I want you to leave a comment. I am very responsive and I want to help you make a good decision, right? I want to help you in your specific situation with what you want to help you make a good buying decision. So feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions. Give me a like, give me a sub. And by the way, links are in the description as well. So feel free to use those and you will get $10 off if you use my link to buy from Mobvoi directly, or you could buy from Amazon or from other places as well. Again, I will have links in the description as well. Thanks again. I really appreciate you as a subscriber. I do, by the way, have new audio. I put my microphone a little bit closer to me today. So let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of this watch in the comments. Have a great day and stay safe in all these crazy, crazy times.